So the iPhone 13 Pro Max has remained one of the favorite iPhones of all time, especially in the larger iPhone size. Today we're going to take a look at the iOS 18 Beta 1 to see how it performs. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Today we're going to take a look at the iOS 18 Beta 1. You could see it comes in at around 7 gigabytes on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I have some good news. It's been pretty good here for this phone, probably mostly due to its 120 hertz still being a great feature, along with the phone having a pretty decent chip with the A15 Bionic chipset that's housed within inside of here. So you'll see the A15, 3.23 gigahertz, and a 5.51 gigabyte of RAM, which is basically 6 gigs of RAM. I really wish this would have ran the Apple Intelligence, but if you don't have Apple Intelligence coming for your phone, like if you have a 13 Pro Max, you could still download ChatGPT or some of those AI apps like Copilot, for example, and just use the app. I know it's not the best solution. You want the on-device AI and all that stuff, which is an enhanced experience. But if you're planning to keep your phone an extended period of time, but you still want to use AI, you could still do it on the older phone just fine. Now, in terms of the build number, this is 22A5282M. This is essentially Beta 1. Beta 2 should be launching tomorrow, which will be covering some other videos as we go into the second version of the beta. I don't expect major performance improvements. We're rumored to only get a couple of new features within Beta 2, but we'll check that out as that does become available. Now, kind of just scrolling through the general home screens, I'm happy to report that the whole entire system kind of runs just as smooth as iOS 17. So it's looking good for your 13 Pro Max. If you're planning to keep this even longer, which a lot of you probably are, you are definitely going to have a really, really good smooth experience. And this has always been enabled by, ProMotion. ProMotion really sets apart phones from phones that have 60 hertz. It just makes them feel smoother. So this one still feels smoother than, say, an iPhone 15 Plus just because of that feature alone. Control center, even with the 120 hertz, is slightly smoother on this phone. Still a little choppy. As you see when I go up, it just got a little chop right there, but still better than, what you would experience on an older iPhone with 60 hertz. Now, if I click add controls, the control center area, this is the same on all of them. It's just a little bit slow. You could see it kind of hangs a little bit when we're going through. As you add controls, though, we don't have any major issues. So if I go ahead and add a control and then I move it around, I don't see any major issues here within the control center performance. It's just kind of like when you're swiping through the controls to add. So they got to make that a little bit smoother. That's the same case here for your 13 Pro Max. But other than that, generally speaking, running through, I've been pretty happy on these home screens. Just kind of going through the app pages, all that, no real major lag, nothing like that within the system. Looking at the customization of the 13 Pro Max, if we hit customize, you'll obviously get the tinted option for the icons. Let's see if they get lagged up here or they don't appear right away. So you see there was a few that weren't, but pretty fast to change all of these over. This is reminding me more of the 15 Pro's performance that I've seen. And if we go to light here, very good. No issues there. That's like the old school stuff. So we'll go to dark. We'll do large icons to see if there's any change up over here. Does it hold all those pretty good? And you've seen just a second to load those, but nothing major. Looks pretty good. So I would say customization wise, you'll definitely be able to play around with this. No major issue. Somebody asked me the other day, how'd you get the wallpaper even darker? You click this little like sun looking icon right here and it'll allow you to darken the wallpaper even further. Even if you're within the dark mode, go over here to customize. See that even on the dark mode wallpaper, you can make it darker here within customization. So that's a pretty nice, neat touch if you're into, customization and stuff like that. All right. So when you are resizing widgets, let's go over here. Actually, let me bring this over here. When you are resizing widgets, you can see they work pretty well. So no major issues there. I haven't had tons of lag in this area either. That seems to work okay for me. Let's go over here. And you see in just a second to kind of get it in line right there. And then if we go over here, click those buttons, you see it's all seeming to work pretty well. So no major issues there with the adding of the widgets. Let's go ahead and add a widget here straight from this area. If I go down to calendar, and you could see that's good. clock. We have all their clocks right there. And let's go into something else. How about we go into sleep? So let's add sleep widget, and you'll see that's fine. So moving the widgets around, no problems. Adding new icons in here. Sometimes you get an app that like wiggles, like it just keeps wiggling, but I haven't seen it so far on my Macs. You can add icons wherever you want, and all that seems to work well. So all the basics of iOS 18 seems to work pretty well here, even on the beta 1. So performance and settings works pretty well as well. They have these new apps section, and you see that's pretty good. So we have no major issues in that section. If we scroll over here to screen time, all that works good. And then that's pretty good. So all of it's working pretty well. Like the system is working pretty solid. So I think iOS 18 is going to be really smooth on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Even though it's not going to have the Apple Intelligence, it's going to be one of the smoother, older iPhones to run this, at least the base software here on here. So let's go ahead now and take a look at some performance. I do have some apps here, and we shouldn't see anything crazy different here for the 13 Pro Max. If this was a real problem, these apps would definitely be crashing up, lagging up. That's why I could say it runs it pretty well. I will tell you one thing you're probably not going to like. The battery is draining a little faster. As you would expect it, obviously it is a beta, but it's draining faster than people love for their iPhone 13 Pro Max. Probably about a 15 to 20% faster drain than an iOS 17, which is not my favorite thing to mention here. So do keep in mind, if you do want to go with the iPhone 13 Pro Max in terms of the beta here, you do have to expect, I'm gonna take a little bit of hit on battery because I really want to try out this software. Of course, you could revert back to 17 if you plug this into, a computer through iTunes and go ahead and just kind of restore 17. However, it's a little bit of a hassle, so you probably want to wait if you want the most stable version of it. But you can see, I've been running the betas and just kind of like using it as my daily on my 15 Pro, and it's been no problem. It really has. It's a couple lags here and there, a couple crashes, but that doesn't really bother me. Like, I'm still going to use the new software and enjoy it. So definitely solid there. You could see even going through with the RAM management, if we reopen these apps, they should be pretty good. That's going to be mostly due to, having 6 gigs of RAM. And that's why I feel like, why can't this run Apple Intelligence? You see how fast this phone is? Like, it's got a lot of power. It could hold a lot in the background. And I know the demands might make it a little slower with the 6 gigs of RAM. It's a RAM problem, but even if we have like a lighter weight version of the Apple Intelligence, maybe if it was possible, maybe a little bit of a lighter weight, a few features that they can't do, or just kind of like, tone it down a bit so it stays smooth. I don't know. I just feel like these phones with 6 gigs of RAM, like the iPhone 13 Pro Max, should be able to run this Apple Intelligence. Let me know your thoughts about that down below. All right, so let's take a look at the camera. Are we going to get any crashes here for the camera? Zooming in, back it out wide. Let's go ahead and come close. Macro mode works well. Video, if we switch between 4K, 30, 60, everything's working very good. Backing it out on the camera, going in 3x, photo, portrait. Let's go ahead and see if we get any lag up in here. Hold on, that was me. See if we get any lag up in here. Nope, all that works well. Pano. So yeah, if you rock out with the beta, let's go from the lock screen. You shouldn't be missing any of your shots. All your photos should still come in good, and they're processing correctly too. They don't even look like any different. Like, it's not like I've had issues in the past where the beta on the camera, it will kind of like process incorrectly, and then the photo wouldn't even show it sharp. So that's a possibility, but not here on 13 Pro Max. Looking at the front, backing it out wide, video. As you can see, everything's still running fine here on the 13 Pro Max. So camera is a go on iOS 18 beta 1. All right, so looking at the internet performance, if I go to apple.com, you'll see that's pretty quick right there. And then if we go ahead and hit buy, new iPad Pro, you can see just fine. So let's go ahead now and take a look at another website. All right, so let's go to yahoo.com and you'll see pretty good. Let's go ahead and click one of these articles, and you can see zooming pretty good. Zooming out very good, closing it out Very good. So it doesn't look like we have a major issue in browsing. If you are wondering, is the browsing going to be a problem? Is the internet performance whack? No, it's pretty good. Everything's working well there as well. And here's our Geekbench score of a single of 2320 and 5157 on that multi-core score. Now, if we take a look at the averages, we're actually doing 10 points better than the average. So that's showing you performance should be about the same, if not better, on iOS 18. And you'll see on the multi-core score, not better. So only on that single core. As we push a little heavier, we need some more optimizations on the iOS 18. So concluding it out here, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, is it a go for iOS 18? And the answer is absolutely yes. It's going to be a great software here. It's going to be super smooth as we get more polished, and you have plenty of time left on your iPhone 13 Pro Max. Not having Apple Intelligence means you'll be missing out on a couple new features. However, the Apple Intelligence is still early days for it, so there might be some issues with it. It might not be as useful right away as it can be in the future. It's a very early technology, but Apple getting in the game is pretty awesome. But if you want to still use what AI is capable of doing, you could still just use that ChatGPT, or you can use Microsoft Copilot or some other AI-based applications already available now within the App Store. So some of the things that you can do are still available through apps. It's just, you're just going to miss out on that. But I think it's a thumbs up for the 13 Pro Max. It's running better than almost all of them that I tested on the iOS 18, besides the 15 Pro, which runs at about the same. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know how you feel about your 13 Pro Max going forward with the iOS 18. Do you plan on downloading? Are you going to upgrade because of Apple Intelligence? Or are you just going to stick it out with this phone? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.